I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to tell ghost stories on YouTube. I was a U.S. Marine. I trained at Paris Island. Deployed overseas, ate dirt in the desert, you name it. I don't scare easy, but what happened to me and my unit at Camp Lejeune back in 2009? That changed everything. And I've kept quiet for years, mostly because no one would believe me. But lately, I've been having the dreams again, and after all this time, I think it's time I told someone. But about 2 clicks in, things started getting weird. The air turned, still. No frogs, no crickets, not even the usual buzzing mosquitoes, just silence. If you've ever been stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, you know the place. You could feel it, like the trees themselves were holding their breath. Pine forests, thick with humidity. Bugs big enough to carry you off. And those swamps, Christ. Those swamps felt older than time, like they were watching you. Nothing fancy, just a training op near the northeast sector of the base. It's probably just a deer, he said, but his voice cracked. That section bordered a dense swampy area. Locals called it the Devil's Pocket. I always thought that was just superstition. I only saw it for a second, but it was tall, real tall. According to maps and mission brief, that sector was just trail and swamp. Gentry decided we'd sweep it, mark it, and report it when we got back. Standard protocol, no structure, no installation. Yet here it was, half buried in the mud, concrete and rusted steel. Looked like something left over from the Cold War, or maybe even earlier. The door was open, taller than any man. And it was still, not hiding, not moving. Just standing there. It all started with a simple night patrol. I was with Lima Company, 3rd Battalion. It wasn't. Our orders were clear: sweep the trail, mark coordinates, stay on comms. Just the beam of our flashlights cutting through layers of mold and dust. The air was thick, smelled like old water and burnt hair. The walls were covered in symbols, not graffiti older, carved into the concrete. Circles, eyes, lines intersecting. No one said a word. We were all thinking the same thing. This wasn't military. Growling sound come through the comms. Like a throat clearing, but deeper, not human. Sergeant Gentry chalked it up to interference. But I saw his hand go to his sidearm. Said he heard someone whisper his name. We turned all our lights on him. No one was near. He kept looking over his shoulder. Now, silence in the woods ain't normal. Especially not in the Carolina swamp in July. Something was off. I looked over at Ramirez, my fire team buddy, and he gave me this slow nod. We both felt it. Then our radios started acting up. Static, bursts of garbled speech. At one point, we all heard this low. That's when we saw the first one. Off the trail, maybe 15 yards into the brush, something moved. Nothing. It was gone. No sound, no broken branches, like it was never there. But it was. I know what I saw. We aimed our lights into the trees. Gentry ordered us to tighten formation and keep moving. 15 minutes later, we hit the old bunker. Now here's the thing, that bunker wasn't supposed to be there. We should have turned around right then. But of course, we were Marines, curious, young, dumb. The inside was worse. No lights. We got about 20 feet in when Private Lewis started shaking. I mean, full-on trembling. Eyes wide, teeth chattering. Said it was a woman's voice. Now, Lewis was tough, Iraq vet, built like a linebacker. Seeing him crack like that, it rattled all of us. Gentry told me and Ramirez to take him back outside. No one. Ramirez heard it too. He went pale. We picked up the pace. Like someone had tried to claw their way out, not fingernails, to wide, to deep. We didn't know what the hell we were looking at. Blood curdling. He drops to the ground, holding his head, screaming about fire, about a face in the bunker. We never even saw him fall, he just collapsed. Like claws. As we were walking him out, I heard it too. A voice, low, just behind my ear. It said, "Go back," but the comms were completely dead now. No static, just a low hum, not electrical, almost organic. Gentry was shouting orders. No one was listening. We were surrounded by the woods, but not a single branch moved. The eyes were still there. The trees were all different. Like someone replanted the whole forest overnight. Like a purr, we turned to head back to the trail. I spun around. That's when we saw the scratches. On the inside of the door-deep gouges. Back outside, we radioed command to report the structure. That's when we saw the eyes in the trees. Dozens of them. Red, glowing, staring. No sound, no movement, just eyes. Ramirez raised his rifle. I slapped it down. Suddenly, Lewis starts screaming. The rest of the team rushed out of the bunker, weapons drawn. And then, they blinked, all at once. That broke us. We grabbed Lewis and ran, full sprint. Back on base, safe, no formation, no protocol, just stared at walls. We heard later he was sent to Walter Reed. No diagnosis. Just listed as non-responsive trauma. Just running. The trees seemed closer, like they were bending inward. The trail looked different, wrong. We ran for what felt like hours. And somehow we came out in a clearing near the motor pool, but Lewis never woke up. Not really. He was alive, but never the same. He wouldn't speak, wouldn't eat. A week after the incident, we went to check the logs. There was no record of the patrol, no record of the sector. Gentry said the coordinates didn't match any known area of Camp Lejeune. Like we'd been walking in a place that didn't exist. We tried going back, couldn't find it. The trail just ended, and the strangest part. I know what you're thinking. Sounds like a bad dream, right? Maybe some gas leak, a hallucination. That's what I told myself for months. I didn't want to believe it either, but it didn't stop there. A few weeks after that night, Ramirez went missing. No warning, no note. One night he was in the barracks, talking like normal. Next morning, his rack was made, his gear was gone, and no one had seen him. Command claimed he was transferred. But that didn't make sense. We were mid-cycle. Transfers don't happen like that. And guess what? That swampy area near the northeast sector, it was listed in one report from 1952. Then wiped off every document after that. And his stuff, his personal stuff, was still in the footlocker. His watch, photos, even his Bible. It said, unstable grounds, shut access, keep sealed, gone, like he'd never been there. One guy, Master Gunnery Sergeant Bradley, retired in '88, pulled me aside and said, that's when I started digging. I pulled old maps of Camp Lejeune from the archives, back when it was still being expanded post-World War II. So they did what they always do, sealed it, fenced it off, erased the records. Especially when there's fear, especially when someone's listening. No explanation, just removed. I found a handwritten note in the margin of one of the copies, faded, sealed. From what? At night, in my apartment. Just before I fall asleep, murmuring, just to prove I wasn't losing it. Most nights, I get nothing. But twice, I caught something, like they're underwater. Calling out, a whisper, my name. I can never quite make out the words. Couldn't stand the feeling that something was listening back, but I know they're not friendly. When they came back, two were dead, one from a heart attack, the other from gunshot wounds, self-inflicted. The third guy said he saw black things walking backward in the fog. They discharged him as mentally unfit. The story was buried. I asked around. Old-timers, retired NCOs. A few looked confused. Others got real quiet. You saw it too, didn't you? Handwritten. The first one said, I didn't even answer. I didn't need to. He told me a story from 1979. A recon team went missing for 48 hours in that same area. Bradley said the military knew something was wrong there, but they didn't know what. Not like before, but from the corner of my eye. But sometimes, he said, the barrier between here and there breaks down. But the handwriting matches the old map I found. The one with the note from 1952, same sharp R's, same slanted E's, and that's the part that haunts me the most, because I have been listening. You remember that low humming sound I told you about? That vibration in the radios? I told him I wasn't in combat when this happened. He just nodded and wrote something down. I started hearing it again, not just in the woods. It's faint, but it's there, and sometimes if I focus on it, I hear voices. I started recording at night. On my phone, one time, it was just static. But layered underneath, there was a voice. It's not over. The second time, I heard something else, my full name. No one calls me by my full name. I haven't played those clips in months. I deleted them. 3 months after Ramirez disappeared, I started getting anonymous letters. No return address, just single pages. Stay quiet. It's safer. The second, they don't live here, but they pass through. And the third one, it just had one sentence scribbled in red ink. The swamp remembers. I don't know who's sending them. And every now and then, I see them, not directly. When I'm driving near wooded areas, when I pass reflections in windows at night. Just for a second, something tall, something still, just watching. Blink and it's gone. The VA psychologist calls it post-traumatic stress. They put me on meds. I stopped taking them. Because when I did, the dreams stopped, and that was worse. Because I don't want to forget. I can't forget. Because forgetting means pretending it didn't happen. And I know what I saw. I know what we all saw. Camp Lejeune isn't just a base. It's built on something older, something deeper. There's no record of our patrol, no log of Lewis's breakdown, no note of Ramirez's transfer. That swamp is a scar on the earth, an open wound, and sometimes things slip through. The official version says nothing happened that night, but I have the bunker coordinates memorized. Even if the trail's gone, even if the forest grew over it, and one day I might go back just to prove to myself it's real, or to make sure it's still sealed, because if it wasn't, then whatever's in there might not be trapped anymore. And if you're ever stationed at Camp Lejeune, and you get orders near the swamp, take my advice. Ignore the trail that isn't on the map. Don't follow the red eyes, and if you hear your name in the trees, run, because it's still out there. And now that I've spoken its name again, I think it knows where I am.